Hello everybody, I trust you're all fine. This is Aliu. Yeah, this is Aliu. We're supposed to have a program at 6 o'clock with Biran Gai, but unfortunately, we were stuck by the network and we were not able to continue with the program as usual. But we are trying to use Facebook Live and see whether that is going to be better. Yeah, we're going to give a try to that and see whether that's going to be better. So today we were discussing about the issue of Jammeh's return, and the person that should join me right now is Biran Gay, but we were in the midst of the program and the network started misbehaving, so we apologize for that. We're gonna see whether we will be able to do it here on Facebook. Yeah, so we can start the program properly. It's rather unfortunate. If you want to do streaming in the Gambia, my brother, it's not an easy thing, by the way. Yes, we are waiting on Biran to send a request, then we will definitely go ahead with the program. Okay, I've seen him. All right, Mr. Gay. I think yes, I have added you. Can you hear me? Yes. So, Mr. Gay, I believe here should be better than that of using the software. Let us see whether it's going to be okay. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So, introduction, we're just going to start with that, even though we have done it, but we have to do it again because people were hearing us clearly. So, in brief, tell us who is Mr. Gay. Recently, we have seen your article on Verse newspaper. You've talked extensively about the issue of Jammeh's return and the security threat it might impose in the people of the Gambia. As somebody who lecture civil military and civil relations, and of course, recently you've been talking about this matter extensively. Just tell us who is Mr. Gay, then we can go ahead. We can continue with the program.
Aliu, I really apologize for my network.
No. It's not your fault. It's President Barrow's fault. Let's go. It's not your fault. Yeah.
Hi guys, my name is Gay. Political science, University of the Gambia. I also and policy development. Yes, originally I am from North Bank region of the Gambia, Badibu to be specific. I'm a Badibunka.
Oh, you're a Badibunga.
Because
Did you remember when Jammeh went to Badibu, India, and he was telling them that whether you voted for me or not, I am going to win? I saw that video. All right, so let's get into the program properly. I was just going to figure out where we stop. I know some of my audience were following us. The question was, knowing that Jammeh was a former president, he ruled this country for 22 years. He got loyalists. He had people that have killed people for him. He know a lot of things. Him making a pronouncement that Billah Wallahi Tala, he has sworn for 7 times that when he returned, President Barrow will know who really owns the country. When you heard about this audio, what was your thought about it?
yes, like I said, I was just maybe shocked as everyone was, because sometimes in the Gambia people seems to forget about Jammeh. But nonetheless, the statements were very serious and they ought to be taken seriously by every Gambians, particularly the government, but also members of the intelligence institutions as well. As I SIC to be specific, SIS to be specific, because it's very important that we try to understand the motives of Jammeh. Him returning to the Gambia, what could be the political and security implications for the government and for the people of the Gambia? These are questions that people need to ask, and of course, it is only a fool that will downplay the statements of Jammeh, because my belief is that if Jammeh decides to come to the Gambia for whatever reason known to him, any action taken by the government is likely to cause political unrest. I have mentioned in previous interviews that arresting Jammeh in the Gambia is a catalyst towards political unrest. If there is this idea that there are people in the security services, particularly in the military, that are still loyal to Jammeh, what do we say to these perspectives? Knowing that he has ruled the Gambia for over 22 years, he has nurtured military generals in the Gambia, isn't it, under his administration?
Exactly.
Soldiers that were loyal to him, a group, particularly the junglers. Some of them are still in town, isn't it, working?
Exactly.
So what could that mean for the state of security in the Gambia? I think it is something that ought to concern every citizen of the Republic of the Gambia, and of course the government must pay attention, and also they have to act with maturity rather than these verbal attacks from head of state. If Jammeh releases a statement, Barrow also releases a statement. I mean, they have to focus on the core of the matter. The core of the matter is that Jammeh intends to return in the Gambia. What could be his motives if he returns? Do we know whether he still has political ambition, or does he intend to cause rebellion in the Gambia? What if he decides to come and orchestrate a coup? Remember, military coups are not only organized by those in the military. They can be led by civilians. And knowing the relationship of Jammeh with the military and those that were serving in the Gambia under his government, these are serious questions that people need to pay attention to. That the coming of former President Yahya Jammeh is going to cause political unrest in the Gambia, whether people like it or not.
Yeah, of course. Just to add one or two things about that, I've listened to two of his National Assembly members. They have made a pronouncement that in an event to arrest Jammeh at the airport, this will bring commotion or even violence. At some point, we can say chaos or broadly. When you hear this interview of Almami Jibril Coffee Time, what comes to your mind? Do you think but government shouldn't even allow Jammeh to step his foot in this country? Should they start involving counterpart or counter to?
In as much as I said Jammeh has every right to return, in an ideal world, security-wise, for the sake of peace, Jammeh should stay in Equatorial Guinea for now, because I don't think Gambia is ready to welcome him. That is my perspective. But again, if he decides to come, I am not able to assess the level of readiness of the government of the Gambia, whether they are actually ready to host Jammeh in the Gambia, either arresting him or allowing him to stay before investigations are concluded. Whatever these circumstances are, it remains to be seen. But what is fundamentally important is that the threat need to be taken seriously, especially those made by members of his political party or those that are very close to former President Jammeh. But also, in as much as others in the Gambia believe that Jammeh should come, as some of his supporters believe, you are very right to say that what the government of the Gambia should do now to coordinate with regional intelligence services, counterparts within ECOWAS, because remember, Barrow is under the protection of ECOWAS and economic forces right now. They're responsible for his security. And therefore, ECOWAS member state should be alerted as well. And that is a responsibility that the Gambia government can do. Remember, ECOWAS have supported the establishment of a hybrid court in the Gambia, which is yet to be established fully. But then, whatever the case might be, the case of Jammeh and concerning his return, the approach has to be a regional approach, because him leaving the Gambia during the political impasse was orchestrated by ECOWAS and international bodies such as the United Nations. So obviously, coordination should exist now. At national level, government should have um, a response plan already, a strategy in place already, envisioning different scenarios. When Jammeh step foot in the Gambia, what would be the immediate reaction of government? Are they just going to arrest him right at the airport? Or are they going to allow him to make it to his hometown and then launch investigations? Or do government intend to work with regional partners to be very vigilant and monitor the movement of Jammeh, whereas they could intercept him in the other West African countries' airways, countries that are within the geographical location of ECOWAS. So governments will already have a plan in place, because this shouldn't surprise them. Imagine if Jammeh just woke up one day and saw up in the Gambia. That would have meant that the government is not ready. But I think since the change of government in 2016, still, government must have a plan already. If they don't do, then that is the big negligence on their side. And I also would like to say that this is a precarious political situation in the Gambia, which has to be seen as such. The return of Jammeh vis-a-vis the security situation of the country could easily escalate into what we saw in 2026 post-electoral conflict.
The victims are not happy, and some Gambians are not happy. But better still, a lot of people, when there was, I think that there was post on the street. Some people are saying, "Oh yeah, we want Jammeh back." Why do you think some citizens are even thinking from this perspective? Is it that the government haven't done seriousness in the issue of TRRC, post TRRC, to tell people what Jammeh's atrocities were? You know, is it that people are not aware about Jammeh's ruling for the past 22 years? And as a result, they think that, okay, Jammeh is the solution for all these things that we are going through. Why do you think some people share the perspective that, look, Jammeh should come back and rule the country?
Yeah, Ali, you need to understand that you cannot erase 22 years of history. Like I said, Jammeh holds a significant historical epoch in Gambia's political history, from 1994 until he was dejected out of power. So that's very important. There were people who supported him, people who still believe in Jammeh as their political messiah, isn't it? And therefore, that hope and that trust is also there, because he's a man that has also delivered for certain aspect of the population, particularly those in the Fonyi region. And therefore, they have every right, obviously, to show support to President Jammeh. I haven't seen a former head of state in Africa that that is being detested by his people. There's always two different group of people: those that support you and those that dislike you. But in the case of Jammeh, I think the question should be around justice and accountability, and not about who supports him and who does not support him, because everybody has the right to support any political leader in the Gambia. But like you mentioned, victims are not happy, and for 22 years, there were egregious human rights violations that were highly palpable in the Gambia. And therefore, questions around justice need to be addressed moving forward. And Jammeh is at the center of that. And therefore, the responsibility solely lies on his head. But also, the political will must be manifested on the side of the Gambian government to hold Jammeh accountable, because victims are demanding for justice. And therefore, these two scenarios that I envisage, the victims are at the center of it. If the government allow Jammeh to come to the Gambia, what will be the reaction of the victims? Because remember, people's families were shattered. Some fathers were killed, mothers were killed, some women were victims of rape and abuse, and therefore the perpetrators are still in town, even though the government has accepted the recommendation of the TRRC that it is going to prosecute those that have violated human rights on the Jammeh's regime. There's still slow pace of the implementation. But whatever the case might be, also pertaining to the return of Jammeh, it is also very clear to highlight the statement put up by the government. Therefore, government position is very clear. In written words, they have communicated to the public that if Jammeh comes to the Gambia, he is likely going to face persecution and eventually arrest. So the position of government is very clear. Jammeh is not going.
I don't intend to cut you there, but if government is bragging that upon Jammeh's return, they're going to actually activate due process, that is to arrest him, prosecute him, and do the necessary things. TRC has recommended almost 232 issues, and none, I mean, I think few of them has been implemented that has to do with sanction and whatnot. But if government is serious with prosecution and arresting Jammeh's victim, or the perpetrators of Jammeh's atrocities, if they are really serious with it, they could have set an example. We have seen Mendis, they are returning the country. We have seen Solibadis. We have seen a lot of people that confessed that they killed, even though they didn't know. Some people, we all watch TRRC. If Gambia government is serious with Jammeh's return, because that's where other people also are drawing the line. They said if those people are walking freely on the street, those who killed the parents of others, the brothers and the sisters, who is the government to arrest Jammeh and prosecute him? Even though I knew that is not a very good comparison to do, but do you think government was serious with implementing TRC recommendations?
I will admit that there has been slow pace of the implementation process. Remember, there are 265 recommendations by the TRRC. Two were rejected by the government, and therefore we have 263. Going by the latest update given by the NHRC on the status of implementation, 60 recommendations have been implemented so far, meaning that a greater percentage is still pending. But whatever the case is, that justice in Africa has always been delayed, isn't it? In some instances, there is zero justice, especially issues that has to do with the prosecution of former heads of state. Obviously, it's going to take time, as if you could recall the case of the former Chadian president, Izanapa, in our neighboring country, Senegal. The case has been dragging for over 20 years, although he's late now, but justice was eventually served. In the case of Jammeh as well, the reason why the Gambia government has requested support from ECOWAS to set up the special court is because they think that they do not have the capacity to prosecute these cases. So unless and until that hybrid court has been established in the Gambia with the appointment of a special prosecutor, still now it is very important to understand the dynamics around justice and accountability, and also the availability of resources wise. But again, I will also agree with the fact that many people across town, if you ask them, they would say that there's lack of political will from the government, because even the prosecutions that happened were mostly external. The case of Bailo, Usman Sonko, and then the Sang guy in the United States. And in the case of Yankuba Toure, the charges were not directly related to the findings of the TRLC, but he was prosecuted on murder trials. So obviously you can say that almost 5 to 6 years after the conclusion of the TRLC, government has not taken a decisive step in holding perpetrators accountable. And therefore you still have them working in our in our institutions or in our security institution, but some of them are still idling in the Gambia, interacting with victims across town. What does that tell to government? And therefore, the uncertainty lingers in the minds of many political experts, but also in the minds of many concerned Gambian citizens. Because what could that mean if Jammeh had to step foot in the Gambia and reconnect with those who have aided these human rights abuses or atrocious human rights violations that were conducted during his 22-year regime? So I think this is one of the most important political situation in the Gambia right now, and the government ought to pay attention to these details very carefully.
That's where my another question will actually bring me to. Like I was saying, I think the issue of special tribunal to launch such cases. For me, I think it's very essential. But Gambia do not have the money. Gambia is actually requesting fund from UN and other international body to establish this special tribunal, and you cannot wait on other international organization to fund you for you to carry on certain things. You can do certain things at your own level. If Yankuba Ture could be thrown in Nile for over 8 or 5 years, those junglers and those who had committed heinous crime in the country, something could have been done. We have courts that can actually prosecute these individuals, even if you cannot do it all. But I think they're trying to actually create a scenario whereby they will definitely make a lot of money to ensure that these people are being prosecuted. But for me, I think government can actually prosecute certain things if they're really interested in it. So you've talked about the issue of some of the scenarios that might occur when Jammeh step hit foots here. So in your view, what will be the best or worst scenario if we wake up one day and say, okay, Jammeh is in the Gambia?
That's a very delicate question to answer, because I'm actually not a political messiah to predict into the future. But what I can basically analyze is that, what I can envision is that for me, Jammeh stepping foot in the Gambia could be positive and negative as well. Positive. Let's start with the positivity first.
That's the best.
We've set up the TLRC, and all other perpetrators that were connected to Jammeh have testified, isn't it?
Exactly.
We were able to the truths and the facts as to what happened. And therefore, we've been demanding for Jammeh to be extradited by Equatorial Guinea, which has not materialized. So if former President Jammeh decided to present himself willingly to the government of the Gambia, that should be a gift on a silver platter, isn't it?
Exactly.
It would be easy, whereas the Gambia government will only need to arrest him at the airport and then take him to Mile 2 to conduct investigations. That could be an easy part, provided that his supporters do not cause unrest in the country, and provided that there are no security forces or security rebellion against such decision, because those that support Jammeh within the military can still rebel against government decision. That's a scenario that can happen, isn't it? But I'm not paying attention to these important details. So if a situation arises and Jammeh is arrested and then put into Mile 2 or put into house arrest or whatever form of arrest that might be, without unrest, that is a positive side, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because guarantee that the victims will get justice eventually. The negative scenario is for the government to allow Jammeh to settle in his hometown for the time being, because for me, as a form of security assessment, I don't think Jammeh should get anywhere near Fonye. He shouldn't get there, because remember, we have a battalion in his hometown, isn't it?
Exactly.
What if loyal to Jammeh decide to protect him? What would be the state of security nature in the Gambia? And for me personally, I've always believed that Gambia has a fragile security. Okay? You remember the Casamas attacks? There were times when we usually face with few confrontations at our borders. What usually happened? There was a time that the Casamas rebels came up to the Fonyi areas around BMs and so on. And there was nothing that our security services could do at the time. So I think that is a very precarious and tumultuous situation if it's ever evolves into that. And I think that if those security services that are still loyal to Jammeh decides to offer protection to Jammeh against the state, it is going to be a security situation where you have an internal political unrest of security services confronting one another. One protecting Jammeh and the other defending the state. If it evolves to such a scenario, that is going to be one of the biggest political impasse in Gambia's political history, because everything will be affected. So such an instability will be on the negative side. And for me, I think that needs to be avoided, and it will also resonate with my earlier view that Jammeh shouldn't be allowed nowhere near the territories of the Gambia, or government must have a strategy in place to contain Jammeh when he steps foot into the Gambia.
That's a befitting response with regards to that question. So I think you know, you don't have much time. I do know that you have other engagements to carry out, but I must ask this question. The election is just at the corner, and Jammeh for me is more powerful than UDP. NPP combined these two political parties. Jammeh was not in the country, and he was able to have some National Assembly members. He wiped out entire phone. You know, he defeated government in those areas. He got councillors in that country. So, I mean, the timing, some people ask the timing. We have only 12 months towards the election. What do you think about the timing? I mean, Jammeh's coming. Can if Jammeh happens to come, can we see Jammeh endorsing a particular individual to contest? What do you see about the timing?
I think I have, by the way, I am an expert in electoral politics. That is my expertise, isn't it? Gambia's electoral process is at a very precarious situation right now, with opposition political parties and incumbent parties contesting for political power, which is normal in a democratic government. But again, the return of Jammeh, like I said, could have huge political ramification in terms of justice and accountability. Now, let me give you a scenario. To the Gambia, aspect of the opposition, and they eventually win political power. On the questions of justice, will we still have a transitional justice, or will we still be seeking justice for victims and perpetrators? These are questions that one must ask. And also the other scenario is, what if Jammeh himself has political ambition? What could that mean for Gambia's electoral politics moving forward? So I think we need to pay attention to this situation. APRC is still one of the biggest political parties in the Gambia because they still have the numbers. Fonyi alone is their stronghold, and that is the whole region in the Gambia. Not only Fonyi, but also they usually perform extremely well within KMC. So they have solid numbers and solid support base, and these numbers could influence Gambia's electoral system, because remember, we have a simple majority electoral system where it is winner takes all. So anybody can win election with 1 vote ahead or 5 votes ahead. So I think it is fundamentally important to do a thorough assessment or a thorough diagnosis of what Jammeh's return could mean for the 2026 presidential election, if he decides to align with a certain aspect of the opposition, because I know he's not going to form alliance with the incumbent. With the incumbent,
No,
that could.
Mr. Gate, I mean, don't quickly judge that. Yesterday, I heard the minister was saying that if Jammeh supporters want Jammeh to be free, they have to join the government so that President Barrow can forgive him.
Well, that is just a political statement, and I will leave it as such, because remember, Jammeh's camp is still not an alliance, isn't it? They
Exactly.
refuse to sympathize with the ruling NPP government, and therefore, this is just my personal opinion and my personal analysis. I don't think Jammeh will want to ally with the forces that dejected him from power and sent him to exile in the Gambia. I don't think he's that sort of a character that will do that, because he is somebody who is very proud of himself, as we've seen over the years. But in politics, especially in the context of Gambian politics, always expect the unexpected. Never rule out any scenario, never rule out any possibilities, because we have seen a shift in loyalty, a shift in principle by certain political individuals, to the surprise of many. And therefore, we shouldn't be surprised with this scenario that you mentioned, but that is highly unlikely. But again, speaking to the broader context of electoral politics in the Gambia, I think it will be very interesting, considering um, the rivalry between the opposition and the incumbent political parties. Even though, based on my analysis, I think President Barrow is at a very solid position, at a very solid ground to winning the 2026 presidential election, unless and until something dramatic happens. And that would mean that the opposition need to rethink, they need to strategize, because this division is not going to bring the NPP down. Therefore, there is the need for united opposition force in the Gambia, President Barrow from power. We have to answer numbers. I know Gambians are not interested in data, but Barrow's first election in 2016, he won with 43% of the vote, isn't it? 5 years down the line, 2021, he won with an absolute majority.
Yeah, 53.
percent of the vote, isn't it? UDP came second, 27 or 26% of the vote, isn't it? Okay. And now, with the fragmentation within the United Democratic Party, and Talib Bensouda, one of the leading figures in UDP, going on his path, what could that mean for the United Democratic Party? There cannot be an increase in the number of percentage of votes for UDP. What I therefore say is a decline in the number of votes of the United Democratic Party if Talib decides to contest in the presidential election, which is very likely. So therefore, what you is the leading opposition party in the Gambia that is currently divided, and therefore their numbers is going to go low. So you expect maybe Talib to pick some numbers from UDP and pick some numbers from NPP, but will those numbers be enough? That is the question to ask, and therefore that is what informs my analysis or interim analysis for now, to say that NPP is at a very comfortable position, which is something that the opposition parties in the Gambia need to pay attention to, because we need to bear in mind that political change in the Gambia has through democratic means has only happened once in 2016, and we all know the circumstances that leads to that. So history has shown that incumbent political parties tend to retain power in the Gambia, unless and until there is a much more bigger alliance within opposition political groups to unseat a sitting government. And that scenario is very unlikely now, but we still have almost a year or months before the presidential election a lot can happen. Public opinion can shift, alliances can be formed, dominion alliances can be formed within the opposition political parties, and then that could make the ways very open and very interesting, and of course very difficult to predict if such were to happen.
It's okay. This is going to be my last question to allow you to go. I am fear. I am afraid, and everybody should be afraid of Jammeh's remarks, Jammeh's recent remarks, and looking at the security issues of the country. Like you said, Gambia's security is fragile, and that's the view I also hold. Knowing that what had happened in other part of African countries then, and other part of the world, where dictators always have an intention to come back and rule the country. Because if you can read Jammeh's audio very well, he was very, very conversant, and he assertively make the pronouncement that that day is going to be very nice. He said when he returns in the country, it's going to be very nice, and President Barrow will know whether him or he or him who owns the country. And this should be a very, very dangerous thing. What advice would you have for the government if they are listening right now to do
For
with regards to
me,
Jammeh?
I think government need to take the return of Jammeh very seriously if it is going to happen. And also, they must be willing to implement every statement that they uttered in the release that they gave. So that is very important. They have promised that they will guarantee the fundamental rights of Jammeh as a citizen of the Republic of the Gambia, but also they will ensure that justice and accountability is also served, and that investigations will be made, and then possibly arrests will also be made. So this is a scenario or a position that the government must stood firm on. And listening to the speech of President Barrow, still now we can say that that is the position of government. But again, government must be prepared, especially our intelligence services. Government must be prepared because it has put itself in a very uncomfortable position. First, with the treatment of the military, I don't like it from day one. I do not believe that long term, ECOWAS will continue to provide security to the presidents. We have exposed our state house, our most sacred house, to the Senegalese now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They know inside out Gambia's security situation, which is a situation that we should never have found ourselves in, but yet it has happened. So for me, we need to find ways of reconciling the military or integrating the military to regaining trust and confidence in them, because the question of loyalty of the military right now is under serious scrutiny and under serious doubt, isn't it?
Exactly.
I cannot tell you authoritatively or with certainty that the military is on the side of the state or the military is on the side of the former president Jammeh. I cannot answer that question. And if it happens to be the case that the military is still on the side of Jammeh, then we are likely to find ourselves in a debilitating and exasperating political situation in the Gambia.
You know, I wanted to end this program, but this pushed me to my next question again, and I think you need to pardon me for that. You taught me civil and military and civil relations, so I must ask this question, and then you make us to bring you makes me to bring this question when you make an analysis that if at all that the military is in the part of Jammeh or the part of Gambia government or whatnot, it is clear to all of us, crystal clear to all of us, the military, they are not happy with the current government, and these are some of the factors that might lead to overthrowing the government. We have seen the attempts, you know. And the reason why I said I have all reason to fear, and all the Gambian who are me right now should be feared. Should be really feared about Jammeh's remarks, not even about Jammeh's remark. Looking at the security, issues of the country. But I mean, some of the reason why the military, the ECOWAS is still in the Gambia. We all know the reason why they're in the country. So just to sum up, what do you think? Why do you think that we still have ECOWAS in our country as an analyst?
Well, the reason could be very simplified. It's because the current government in power do
Sorry,
not trust.
sorry, Mr. Gay. If you look at the TRRC, the soldiers, some of the claim that they made that makes them to overturn the government was they thought that they were over controlled by Nigerian soldiers, Ghanaian soldiers. They own the decisions and whatnot. And we are seeing the same thing in the Gambia. State House is in hand of the Senegalese, and then the port is in hand of other foreign troops. Security is very fragile today. They have asked them to return all their guns at some point in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Do you think they are frustrated right now?
Of course, they're frustrated and that they've been disarmed for so long now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask the question, why is ECOWAS still here? The answer is very palpable and obvious, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's because the current government of the Gambia do not trust the military or security services to handle the affairs of the state and to provide security to the president of the republic. And as a result, that is why we still have ECOWAS in the Gambia. In terms of the overall security situation of the country, one will ask the question, do we even need ECOWAS? Of course, we don't need them because issues of our national security can be handled by our security institution. But because there's that lack of trust in the military, that is why we still have ECOWAS in place. And also, as a lecture of civil military relations, we understand that under Jammeh's political leadership, he aligned himself with Huntington's theory of subjective control of the military, because the military acted as mere subject and stooge to the head of state then. So therefore, he was easily manipulating and controlling the military. In such a political situation or in such a political environment, what you have is a weak army, an army that is receptive to the idea of military coup, an army that is receptive to the ideas of political instability and unrest, an army that feel that they have some degree of political authority over the citizens. So that concept and that mindset still remains in certain elements of the Gambia National Army. And that's why I said it is still a very precarious situation, because we cannot really know for a certain the current state of those soldiers who were loyal to Jammeh. Are they loyal to the state, or are they loyal to Jammeh as a former head of state? That is a question that needs to be asked quite often, and it is a question that needs to be interrogated so that we will be in a better position to analyze and understand what could Jammeh's return mean for the Gambia, security-wise and politically.
Your last statement, Mr. Gay. It has been a pleasure having you. I think we're gonna have this thing again because we are on countdown. I don't know whether you are counting. Are you counting? Today is day 2, right, or day 1?
Personally, I'm not really counting the days or following the days, but I believe Jammeh is not going to be here. That is my personal belief. That would be very, very, very brave of him, for him to step foot in the Gambia right now. But again, somebody has shown me a video is it last week, of the APRC supporters, with their assobis and welcoming preparation. It is going to be, it is going to be a very interesting scenario, one that will be a confrontation between the current president and the former president, a confrontation between the state and an individual entity. And it will be interesting to see who actually triumph, because whatever the case might be, Gambia's future is at a crossroad here. Do we still want to return to the authoritarian ghost of former President Jammeh, or do we still want to forge ahead to our democratic future? Whatever decision taken by the government and whatever decision taken by the citizens of the Gambia is likely to determine these outcomes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gay. It has been a pleasure, talking to you once again. I will definitely bring you back again to have extensive discussion about all these issues, because people are on countdown. The clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Clock is ticking, and APRC people are ready. They are fully ready to welcome Jammeh. And then I was afraid when I heard Amama Jiba making a statement, that if government attempt to arrest Jammeh at the airport, it's gonna be worst. I don't know what he meant, in that statement. I think my lecturer will help.
I think also we need to pay attention to that statement. Will it be right security wise for Jammeh to be arrested immediately at the airport as well? What could be the security ramification for that? Because people are going to welcome him. Are you going to stop citizens or civilians from going to the airport like they usually do with other political leaders, or what? If such a situation arises and you have hundreds of thousands of supporters welcoming Jammeh, it would be stupid to actually arrest him on that spot. That could cause a serious um, political situation or security situation in the Gambia, because how do you because the ratio is a mismatch. I know that the state has monopoly on guns and weapons and so on, but again, will they be able to control such a crowd? And the rest assault, if any day Jammeh spends food in the Gambia, I can guarantee you that you will be amazed with the number of people that are going to welcome him. They will be in their thousands and thousands and thousands. Look, a Mayor Audio in his hometown,
I'm telling you.
which witnessed the gathering of thousands of people, much more than Jammeh returning physically in the Gambia. So many supporters are going to go out and welcome him. And therefore, the government has a huge security dilemma in their hands, and they have to make a decision because that's why they're in power.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Gay. It's been a pleasure having you here again. And then I believe we were going to bring you back. If officer or commune, regulate their network, it could have been a very nice program if we were able to have it in that format, because Facebook sometimes they cut our heads, at the end of the day, you cannot see the full face. But it has been, interactive session. I have received my lecture once again. You don't see suit today. I'm not in suit today.
And
I'm
why is
giving
that?
to John.
I think you have done away with those suits now. Those oversized.
My suit is with John. John.
Hand everything to John now. Now you are a United Nations diplomat, isn't it? So a potential United diplomat.
Exactly.
And,
Next month we have session there.
and also we will come back to talk about geopolitics and international politics, particularly the behavior of the United States government. This bullying is not going to work anymore for African countries. Okay?
This country is the most democratic country in the world. Have a great day, Mr.
I don't think a country that is about to attack Venezuela,
No, we do not say that.
Colombia,
They
and a
ask,
country that attack
we,
Nigeria.
we ask Nigerian to put their
Well,
house. We ask them to put their house in order. That is the only thing we ask them to do. That's it. Have a great.
but I only see hypocrisy in that decision. But again, that is
Thank you.
person. All right, thank you.
All right.
Have a good night. Yeah.